Sharpening your hand tools can be a quick, easy task or the bane of a woodworker's existence. And how you set up your sharpening station can play a big role in determining which of those experiences you have. Over the years, I've tried a number of different arrangements and techniques to keep my tools sharp, but each of them presented new and different obstacles. So I decided to completely abandon some of the traditions and assumptions underlying the sharpening station as we know it. And I came up with a design that offers a seamless progression through the grits and gets me back to woodworking quickly and painlessly. Let's take a look. So the first thing you'll probably notice about this sharpening station is it doesn't look like anything you've seen before. A quick search on Google or YouTube provides plenty of results, but they all have the same basic layout, with each stone or plate lined up in a row, from coarse to fine. Seems pretty logical, right? You start on one side and work your way down through the grits. This is what I used to do. For me, I started with the 3M Scary Sharp system because it was the least intimidating and most cost-effective solution when starting out. Naturally, I lined up my float glass plates with the lapping films in order of ascending grits or descending abrasive particle size. And this works, it absolutely works, especially for touching up a bevel. However, if you're like me, you tend to add new chisels and hand planes to your collection somewhat regularly, which means having to flatten the back. Well, what happens when you get to the stone in the middle? The end of the iron or the chisel handle catches on the adjacent stone, which forces you to change your orientation and use the short end. I don't know about you, but that's just not enough real estate for me. I'm going to be more likely to wear a low spot at the end of the stone, and I'm just not going to be able to get into a good rhythm with these little mini strokes. And whether you're using stones or lapping films like this, the same limitation applies. Well, what about those sharpening stations where the middle stone is actually raised up? That's exactly where my mind went as I was trying to figure out the best design for this station. So let's give it a test. This works great for flattening the backs of chisels and irons, but when it comes time to move on to the bevel, we hit a roadblock. Actually, we hit a stone, the stone in the middle to be exact. Because it's elevated, the bars on the honing guide crash right into it. Now, if you're a freehand sharpener, this might not be an issue for you. Like I said, these are the issues that have come up for me in the way that I like to sharpen. And as someone who prefers to use a guide, the raised stone in the middle simply wasn't going to be a viable option. So at this point, I really had to start thinking outside the box. And I got to thinking maybe it's this linear setup that's causing an issue. You see, in the most common arrangement, everything's in a row and it's all in the same plane, but it's only the middle one that gives us an issue. The ones on the edge work just fine. So how could I build this station in a way that puts each stone on the edge of the setup? Now, at this point in my thought experiment, it clicked. What if I took this one-dimensional line and wrapped it around into a two-dimensional polygon? Now each one is on an edge and in the same plane so that I don't need to worry about the bars on my honing guide knocking into anything. And as a bonus, now I've got this perfect place in the middle to put my strops. Building this thing was a breeze. All you need is a router or router plane to cut out a recess for each stone, some dowels to hold your strop or strops, and a good water-repellent film finish to protect it from all that spritzing. For mine, I added some rubber furniture feet to help prevent it from sliding around, as I'll be putting this away when it's not in use, so it won't be permanently affixed to a work surface. I started out centering each stone on one of the sides, flushing it up with the outside edge, and tracing the outline for where the recess would be cut. Then I used some double stick tape to secure a few scraps along those lines. Having added a bushing to the router base, I could then cut out a recess just slightly undersized from the actual stone, thanks to the offset from the bushing. A little chisel work cleans up the corners and the rough edges. By cutting the recess slightly undersized, I can pare away a little bit at a time to get a super snug fit. After a little cleaning up with some backside sandpaper, I added the rubber feet to help keep the station stationary. For the finish, I went with General Finish's Armor Seal and a semi-gloss. 2 coats seemed like enough for this application, and I can always add more later if any issues arise. I drilled some 3/8" holes for the dowels that would hold the strops. I used to use only one strop, the rough side with the green compound, but recently decided to add a second one with the smooth side up since I've got the extra space. Supposedly this will polish up the surface a bit more than the rough side with compound, so it'll be the very final step in the sharpening process. After getting all the stones and strops in place, it was time to take this for a test drive. Well, sort of. The first time would just be a test drive in the parking lot. Couldn't quite open it up on the highway just yet. That's because I bought some new diamond stones for this set, and apparently there are some rough particles left over on the surface from the manufacturing process. So I grabbed one of my crappy home center chisels and ran it over the entire surface to knock down any irregularities. Now for the real test. I'm going to completely resharpen this plane iron as if it were just purchased. We'll start with flattening the back. First, the 325 grit diamond stone. Next, the 600 grit diamond. Then the 1200 grit diamond. And finally, the 6000 grit Sharpening stone. Once the back is flat, we'll flip it over to do the bevel using the honing guide. Now, unless you've got some serious gouges in your blade, the bevel will likely require just a little touching up. So we'll skip the diamond stones and start at the 6000 grit Sharpening before moving on to the strops. And the very last step for this iron is a few strop pulls on the back to remove the burr. I'll follow the exact same process from start to finish from one of my Japanese chisels. As you can see, the entire process is streamlined and ergonomic. There's plenty of clearance at each step, so there's no need to shift things around or use a different part of the stones. I've been using this station for a few months now, and I can tell you it's made a world of difference in my sharpening experience. So if you're struggling with any of the same issues that I was, or if you're planning to build a new station of your own, I'd encourage you to give this design some serious consideration. So with that said, this video was obviously quite a departure from my usual build videos. So let me know in the comments if you'd like me to continue doing stuff like this from time to time. I want to make videos that you guys care about and find helpful or interesting, and I really do value your feedback. So let me know what you think, and if you've been following my channel but haven't subscribed, I'd be super grateful if you went ahead and clicked that button. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.